This episode of the Off Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren, Power Tank, and Medical Gear Outfitters.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 315, Vehicle Maintenance.
Tonight, Aaron sits in a chair, Jeremy gets locked out, and Ben helps a buddy.
Welcome to the Off-Road podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. I'm your host, Ben, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Aaron and Jeremy, and welcome to the show.
The weekend review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for the day or traveling on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. And while you're there, make sure you use Off-Road Podcast for 10% off. So, Ben, what were you up to?
Well, not a whole lot. We had my dad's funeral this last weekend, so literally it was focusing on family, getting rid of my sister because she was in town. Had to finally tell her to leave town. Had to chase her out. But I did do
On some back road in a ditch or anything, right?
no. I just chased her out of town. Let's see. I got some new stuff for my trailer though. I got some wheel chocks, some new locks for the sides, along with like a wheel caddy. It's like a little disc that the wheel sits in to help keep it from rolling away. For that front leveling wheel. I can't think of what it's called. And then I got a message from my old boss because he posted something on Facebook about he picked up an FJ Cruiser. So I've been working with him all day, kind of helping pick the direction for his new build for his new FJ. And
Was that a guy at Safeway?
No, John, the owner of Rainier Arms.
Good. I was hoping that you were going to say Rainier Arms.
Yep. So John and
Very cool.
Yeah. So actually, Mac and I and John have kind of been talking about doing a trip here sooner or later. John's never been wheeling before, from what I understand. So break him in easy, show him some fun stuff before he goes crazy.
Break him in easy by like going to Tahuya or something, where all the easy people wheel.
Yeah.
Not like Moab because it's super hard there.
Yeah. But I also got something that I haven't even showed you guys yet. I inherited a rifle. This was my great grandpa's French Maz. What is it? Maz? I think it's a 15 or 14. It's a 1936 rifle that he brought back from the Eastern Front. So yeah,
very cool.
He used it for hunting, and my dad had a box of ammo that the last time we tried to shoot it didn't work. So they're just
the ammo didn't work, or the gun.
The ammo didn't work. Old bullets. So
gotcha.
I might try and find some new ammo and take it out and see what happens. Though
you haven't said what it shoots yet.
That is a good question. It's a weird bullet caliber.
Okay.
Which is
shout out to Darwin saying hi here in the comments.
It's a Maz 49 is what it is. I'm sorry.
No. What caliber?
I'm looking that up right now.
Isn't it on the barrel?
Probably French or something.
No, it's not on the barrel or the bolt. It's that old.
7.5 by 54.
No, that's it's it is 7.5 by 54. There we go.
Oh, okay.
It's not that weird of a caliber.
It's just not as common nowadays. But it's a bolt gun. I mean, oh yeah.
Is it a straight pull bolt gun? Or do you have to lift it up?
You have to twist and lift.
Okay, all right. From the angle of the bolt, I was wondering if it was a straight pull or not. There's some weird bolt guns out there where you can actually just jack them back and back forward again.
Yep. So yeah, that's my inheritance, and I'm very happy to have it. I know
very cool.
I knew I was getting it because I'm the only gun nut in the family. So my dad was the other one. So it made sense.
We prefer the term firearms enthusiast.
And I'm just crazy about my firearms. I love them.
Yeah.
I guess my cousin counts too, but I'm older, so it's mine. Screw him.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeremy? What's new?
Well, I tried to go for a night run.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we were trying to go out to Sadie Creek. I did a lot of research before we left to try to make sure that they were going to be open. And I'm knocking stuff over here. Tried to make sure that they were going to be open. Couldn't find anything that said that they weren't open. Found a few posts on the Sadie Creek Trails off-road teams group that talked about doing night runs, and nobody said, "Hey, you can't do that." So I thought, sounds like we're good. Get out there, and nope, no wheeling at night in the park. So
Rejected.
Any reason why you wanted to go at night?
Just kids. It was a good time that
Okay.
I could take off for that long and not impact my wife, just impact my sleep.
Yeah.
So I was trying to be nice to her, but still get some wheeling in. But
Was she happy
Yep.
when you got home early from your trip?
well, I didn't get home early. We just went and ran Forest Service roads instead.
Oh, okay. All
There you
right.
go.
We did wheeling light, not really wheeling, just some exploring. But exploring is a little bit better in the daytime when you can actually see what you're exploring.
Yeah.
When you're nighttime exploring, you're just kind of
Driving up dark roads.
seeing your headlights.
Well, you're cycling your suspension. That's what I call it. Just keeping it.
I don't even know about that.
Little bumps in the roads help.
We got to one spot. We were gonna try to see if we could get up to an overlook that's near the park, and there was a tree that was definitely cut for a 4-wheeler to go through, or maybe a side by side, but not enough for a Jeep. We thought about winching it out of the way, but it was a really steep hill. It was on a really steep shelf road, and I was concerned about. And I was up front, so I was concerned about the tree taking off and getting away from me if I tried to winch it out of the way. So we ended up just finding a spot to backed up, found a spot to turn around, and went back, and then explored some of the offshoots. Some of the offshoots were pretty fun, but I mean, we didn't even air down. So, can you really call it wheeling?
I'm so frustrated with people who only cut trails wide enough for their vehicle. I've been snow wheeling so many times, and you get to a down tree, and they've cut it for like an old Wrangler, like a CJ or something. So it's
Yep.
you can't get anything else through it other than the super narrow vehicle. And this was back before side by sides were popular and people were wheeling them everywhere. So I'm sure it wasn't side by side or ATV guys. So it's really frustrating. It doesn't take any more effort to cut it 2 feet wider.
Yeah. Yep. It would have been nice, but oh well. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Darwin here in the comments said he got the Bug Assault 3.0 today.
I didn't know that they made a 3.0, so I'm gonna have to Google that. I
Yeah,
want to
I've
get one of those really bad, but my wife thinks that I'm gonna leave salt all over the house. I don't know
Which is
why.
probably true.
Yeah, it's true. I have a 2.0 that I think ended up getting broken because my kids and I played with it so much. But I
My
mean,
brother-in-law's broke because he shot it so many times. Also,
yeah, they're fun, and we did get salt all over the house, but didn't have to worry about slugs then, right?
there you go. Yeah, keeps the slugs out of your house.
They should make bug assaults with like salt beanbag rounds and put them in a shotgun and use and load them up to just half power.
Oh boy.
Bug assault 5.0.
You for salt, all you probably need is just some one of the the caps, and call it good.
Yeah, it would be more like a bug assault 0.25 or something.
Yeah.
Darwin says he hasn't shot it in the house yet. You know what's coming. You know
Oh,
it's coming. You're going to be shooting that all over in the house.
Yeah, just find a buddy and shoot him in the butt. It's hilarious.
Okay.
I've shot my son in the butt, and he's like, ah. So yeah, they're fun.
All right. Well, moving on. Jeremy, for some reason, your lips are moving, but nothing's
Oh,
coming
yeah, I
out.
muted myself. Aaron's talking about jerking things back, and Ben's talking about shooting buddies in the butt. I don't know where
No,
this show's
I'm
going.
talking about cycling the bolt in your bolt action. So what I've been up to this week to move it along here is nothing off-road related. I had my wife's family came to our property over the weekend for a family reunion. So I had the Rambo clan on our property. My wife's maiden name is Rambo, if you didn't know. Um, so of course I had to have a little shooting. So we uh, that's probably my wife commenting there in the comments there. Just don't shoot it over the bed. Just an FYI. Because yeah, that's where I shot the one that I borrowed from my father-in-law. It was in the bedroom, and you climb in bed, and it's all salty. It's all granular. So yeah, we had the Rambo clan over for family reunion, and Saturday morning I collected some guns up, and we went down and did some shooting down at the range, which was a lot of fun to do some of that. Finally, I haven't had some trigger time in a while. Um, and I also started I created the events for my fall shooting thing that I do here on my property. So I've got 3 events coming up. We're going to do a 22 event for some kids. We're going to do a pistol event, and then we're going to do a rifle event. So we're separating the pistol and rifle this year since so many people want to come and do those things. And then earlier in the week at the very beginning, my wife and I sat down and we started looking at Scotland again for our overland trip, and we are actually going to take a day or maybe 2 days more than we originally had planned going to Scotland, and we're going to lengthen our overland route to include some more overlanding. So I'm super excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and funny coincidence, last night we were looking for something to watch, and I was like, oh, there's a new Grand Tour, um, and the Grand Tour episode happens in Scotland, so it was kind of fun to see them touring around where we were going. What's crazy is like the first half of the show as they're driving around in Scotland, it looks just like Washington State. It's crazy that, I mean, it's Doug fir trees, and funny, they're like, we've been in Scotland for 6 minutes and it's already started raining. So that sounds just like Washington.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So I'm excited for Scotland. Yeah, Brent here says that it's called Grand Tour Lockdown, spelled with Loch. Loch.
I
Yep,
like it.
it's a good one.
Do
They tow
you
caravans in it.
do you think that your guys' recent trips have kind of helped inspire the wife to want to be exploring more?
I'm not sure, actually. We've got a trip coming up at in 1 month from now to Christmas Valley, which you guys have both been invited to, and we probably aren't going to take the Frontier on that. We're probably going to just take the F-150. It's got a locker in the rear, so it'll do everything we need to do.
Yeah, I don't
Just
think you're
checking it.
gonna really need that.
Yeah.
Need the
Yeah,
Nissan for that.
just checking the comments to see if my wife's going to comment about me off-roading her truck in Christmas Valley. I did
We'll
tell
see
her
if
if there was any hardcore stuff I could ride with somebody else, but I did plan on doing exploring, and if I'm an explorer, it'll be in that truck.
you gonna take it to the sand dunes.
Well, the plan is actually to be camping on at the Sand Dunes campground, so we'll be there. I probably won't go out on the sand dunes. Honestly, they aren't that much fun to me. I think they'd be a lot more fun in a side by side or a um like a ATV. Sorry, a four wheeler. I think that'd be
or
more fun with those. So
or a vehicle with a V8.
yeah, I still don't think that they're as fun to rip around in. So my wife's here in the comments. I think she's lagging behind a little bit, so she's not going to pick up on the Christmas Valley comment for a bit. But it says she's a little bit desensitized because of Black Bear Pass. If I've gone through that, I can go through anything. So that's the spirit, honey.
That's the right spirit indeed.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're looking to reach more listeners. We're going to start reading Apple iTunes reviews on air. If you hear yours, send us a message with your address, and we'll send you an Off-Road Podcast sticker. You can find all of our social media by just searching our name. Now, go hit that subscribe button.
Aaron's wife in the comments again. He knows where the truck will go. To the mall?
Well, actually, the main reason why we're talking about bringing it is because we bought that 27-foot travel trailer and we've only used it once. We're actually using it in 2 weeks from now to a Central Oregon camp trip with a family at a state park or whatever it is. But so that means twice it'll have gotten used this year. We want to put it to good use, so we're talking about taking that to the Christmas Valley event because there'll be space for it, and we can sleep in a nice trailer rather than in the rooftop tent. Excuse me. So
A month from now, Aaron gets stuck in the dunes with his travel trailer.
yes, is it going to be like those Pismo Beach crossings of those rigs trying to go through the creek? There's just no water though in Christmas Valley.
How many winches will we need to recover Aaron? Find out next week.
Doesn't even have a winch on that thing.
I'll have to talk to our sponsor.
Well, we've got some listener feedback here. Just finished episode 313. It was great and really funny. Worth the wait. Gets me excited for my Moab trip. Charles.
Yeah, so Charles, if you hear that, reach out to us and we'll send you a sticker.
Makes me really jealous of a Moab trip.
Well, you
Yep.
were invited.
I know. Timing wasn't right.
Yeah, I know.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month.
Here's this month's Patriot Patch patch of the month. It is Maritime Incident Recovery Team Agent Krabs. So if you have no idea what a purple crab is doing with guns stuck all over his shell, then apparently you've not watched Moana.
I've watched that movie way too many more times than I'd rather
Yeah.
admit. What happens when you have small children?
Yeah, I've got small children too, and they love that movie.
Actually,
that
that tune with the crabs is one of my favorite.
It's mine too, and if I ever had a chance to sing that song in karaoke, I would do it. So
There we go.
if anybody's out there listening and goes camping and brings a karaoke machine that has that song, I'm on it. I don't even need any alcohol.
So I don't know if you guys have ever gone to the Patriot Patch Company Patch of the Month Club website and actually looked at the patch on the description. They had a pretty good description of the Agent Krabs.
Oh, can you read it for us?
I can. So it says,
All right.
voting season is once again upon us. And while some of you have been focusing on a certain ATF director nominee, we feel obliged to warn you of a much deeper threat. All of the reported lost firearms from boating accidents have prompted the agency to step up its underwater recovery task force. Maritime Incident Recovery Team Field Agent Krabs is real, and he's dredging the bottom of every creek, river, pond, and even parts of the ocean. We have created a patch as a composite to spread his likeness amongst the community so that you will all stop taking your guns out on the water. Spread the word.
That is awesome.
My wife's here in the comments again, and she says it's on now. I need to make it happen. So
I don't know what she getting
karaoke.
your travel trailer stuck.
Karaoke.
Oh,
That's what she's
karaoke. Well, it could be karaoke. What about me mentioning that we needed a winch on the front of the truck? Maybe that's what it's on. We need to
I
make
think
it
that's
happen.
what she's talking
That-
about.
Yeah,
that's
So
exactly
absolutely.
what we're talking about.
if she
We'll help
doesn't
you with that winch.
if she doesn't comment back that that's not what it is, then we'll put a winch on there. And if she comments back, we'll just delete it.
Yeah, we'll delete the comment. You got 5 seconds to reply. Don't.
Nope. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. It's deleted.
She says singing karaoke. I enjoy singing a lot, so it's not that really embarrassing for me to sing. In fact, today someone posted a meme on Facebook this truck driver guy that I know from a couple careers back, and it is a picture of, I can't even remember who it was a picture of, but whoever it was, they had this wig on, and it was some of the Shania Twain lyrics from "Man, I Feel Like a Woman," and it said something about singing that song, and I had to admit that back in the day, I sang that "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" song in karaoke back when I was a teenager, I think, or 20 years old.
I don't think a drag show is considered karaoke.
I wasn't in drag. So I'll try to make this quick so we can move on to our news. But this girl that I knew was up singing karaoke, and she was trying to sing that song, but she was struggling her way through it. So I went up, took the microphone away, and I finished the song for her.
I'm just trying to think of a really good off-road related drag name for you.
The news is brought to you by Power Tank.
I don't know what happened there. Let's try that again.
Yeah, try it again.
The news is brought to you by Power Tank, the ultimate mobile onboard air system for performance, versatility, and reliability. They are your source for all air-related accessories. Check them out at powertank.com.
Well, our first news article here is about the new Land Rover Defender Trophy Edition. So Land Rover is coming out with a trophy edition of the newfangled Defender that they've produced. They are making 220 of these special edition Defenders. The lighting is not very good in the picture that was taken. I really hope that that's not the actual color, because it does not look like the camel trophy color yellow that it should be.
Looks like mustard yellow.
Yeah, it's a
Dark mustard.
it's a brownish color rather than the yellowish color I feel like it
If
should be.
you
But
scroll down, there's some more pictures. And actually, here, I'm gonna share one.
but
of
they
those.
yeah, share them, but they still don't look like the right color yellow. So but one interesting thing about, if you bought one of these, if you pre-buy one, it gets you the opportunity to join an off-road competition that Land Rover's putting on in North Carolina in October, I assume October of this year. So, and if you win that, you get to go to the UK next year and compete in their event that they're having over there. That's a good looking rig. It feels really clean to me, although that front brush guard thing looks photoshopped.
Also, it looks like they kind of gave it angry eyes.
Yeah.
I do notice they have the
I'd own
orange
one in a
hook
heartbeat.
on the front of it.
I can't tell if that's the Epic hook or not.
Nah, it looks like the Epic hook.
It looks like it, but I just don't know if they just copied it or not. Harbor Freight has, Land Rover probably does too.
Well, if it's not an Epic hook, that's what it should have.
Yeah. So these are all going to come with four-wheel drive. Obviously, they come with a 3-liter inline 6 with an electric supercharger that's powered from a 48-volt hybrid system. It's 396 horsepower, 406 foot-pounds of torque. So basically 400 horse, 400 torque, which that's a great number for. I mean, it seems like it's more than enough for any off-road vehicle. More horsepower is always better, but yeah, it's good.
Something I'm noticing from this picture right here, it's IRS.
It is. It's independent all the way around. It comes with all-terrain tires, which I'm kind of surprised. I would have expected the Defenders to come with all-terrain tires from the factory, so I'd have to look into that. Electronically controlled rear differential, off-road driving modes, and a 360-degree camera is what it kind of mentions. It also mentions, let's see here, a Expedition roof rack, deployable ladder, skid plates, integrated air compressor, more exterior black trim, and then a winch can be installed as a dealer accessory. What do you guys think?
I liked it up until I saw the IRS.
The
If that's
Broncos.
not IRS in the rear, it's got a solid rear axle.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it is solid in the rear. It's the front that's
yeah.
yeah. Well, okay.
I mean, I think it'll be capable for what it is, but I think a Bronco Sport will probably do just as well on whatever the Bronco throws at it.
The Land Cruiser, the 200 series, is independent all the way around.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a good point. But I don't
Yeah.
see very many people wheeling $100,000 rigs.
But they're not wheeling them. They're not rock crawling them, and that's kind of where people are thinking that you got to have those solid axles so you can get the articulation. So, yeah,
I don't know. I at least like a rear solid axle. Just it makes things a little bit easier.
Yeah. So here's the interesting part. So I mentioned that you can get into this Land Rover US Trophy competition is what they call it, and there's an availability of 90 two-person teams, and it's first come first serve. But there's 220 of these vehicles being sold, so 130 of the people who buy these won't be allowed to enter. Like if everyone who bought one so they could enter, well, SOL.
So you better buy one soon.
There you go.
And is that event limited to just Land Rovers? Because it'd be hilarious to see someone come into Toyota and win, or Jeep.
I'm sure that it is limited to Land Rovers. So it says that the owners are going to compete in on and off-road challenges with the help of professional coaches. The winning team will be determined by a panel of judges.
Yeah, Land Rover.
All right, let's start crowdsourcing some money for John Matthews to go ahead and buy one and enter.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Well, the next article we have here is a Mazda Miata has conquered a Jeep Trail on a stock suspension. So
conquered.
This one puts Aaron to shame because this is one of the really hard trails he went and wheeled, the Imogene Pass.
It's the one I broke my axle on.
It is the one he broke his axle on.
Is this the spot you broke your axle on?
Not at all.
I don't see a picture of the spot he broke his axle. But we can say that a Mazda Miata on stock suspension went ahead and didn't break an axle, but Aaron did. So
yeah, they must just make those axles really tough on those Miatas.
Yeah. So it's a pretty short article, and it's got surprisingly few pictures. Like there's 3 pictures, and I wouldn't say any of them are too extreme of terrain. So,
well, I think what it says is, hey, you may think you need this to conquer. You may think you need a Jeep with a 3-inch lift and 35s to conquer Imogene Pass, when literally you can do it in a stock Miata if you know how to where you're going.
Aaron, do you want to defend your honor there?
Brent says, I thought he broke his axle on a speed bump in the Home Depot parking lot.
There we go.
That's funny. That's funny, Brent. So yeah, here we go. I was patiently waiting for my turn to blow this one out of the water. So absolutely a Miata can do that trail if you don't take any of the hard lines. And I mentioned that I had the family reunion, and there was quite a bit of talk about my wife and mine trip to Moab and Ouray. And we were talking about Imogene Pass with somebody, and she's like, yeah, and he just had to go and drive through that creek and up that slippery rock ledge rather than driving across the bridge. And I turned and I said, of course I did. That's what we were there for. I'm positive that this Miata did not cross any of the creek crossings that were available in that spot. They went across that one bridge instead. So there's easy lines and there's hard lines, just like at most off-road parks.
Yeah,
there you go.
And there's a good chunk of trails that have that. I mean, there's the hard way and then there's the easy way. So bypasses are for if you don't think your rig's up to it or your skills.
I think you mean the fun way and the boring way.
Yep.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Greg is asking here, hey, buddy, is there something wrong with your diff? I'm not sure who he's referring to. If he's talking about Ben, it's probably, but mine is fine.
I think he's referring to the photo for the cover photo.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes good sense.
Actually, and since we're reached that point in the episode, I'm going to pull that up right now. If I can, there we go. And then, yeah, this is, so we wanted to do this episode, vehicle maintenance. We've done some in the past, and you don't want to be like this guy. They had a very bad day with their rear diff.
Is that actually on fire?
Yeah, where'd the picture go? There it is.
Yeah, it is actually.
That looks like fire to me. Yeah.
Yep.
Fire
Yep.
bad. Fire bad. So, yeah, if you don't want to be broken all the time or break on the trail, well, I guess sometimes it's unavoidable, but there's
Especially if you're
lots. Yeah, unless especially for me. But I mean, a lot of there's a good chunk of my shenanigans where some of it was preventable with some regular maintenance. So let's start off with don't ignore that noise or vibration. That noise could be costing your tire life, it could be a weird tick to your engine that could make that engine life go down a lot. So yeah, don't ignore those noises or vibrations that aren't normal, that you're not used to.
I'll say it also might be a zip tie that your buddy has put around your drive shaft.
Yep.
Yeah. That's happened.
That has happened. Which leads me to my next point. If you were to take a walk around your rig, you might find that zip tie. You also might find that loose bolt, or you might also find the oil that you've been dripping for the last 100,000 miles. And I wouldn't just walk around the rig. I would also recommend you start crawling under it and start checking some of those bolts down there. A thing that I like to do with every single bolt on my vehicle is paint pen it so it's nice.
Oh, you're stealing the ones down the line there,
Am
Jeremy.
I? Oh,
quit
shoot. Oh,
quit
no.
cutting.
Shut up,
cutting in
Jeremy.
line.
Never mind. Forgot I said that.
That's one great reason to lift your rig also, so you can easily fit underneath to check all those things out, right?
Yeah, you know how easy it is to get under my Jeep right about now?
I bet it's pretty easy.
My 1-year-old can actually she has to duck underneath the slider in the frame rail, but she can actually go ahead and walk underneath it as long as she's dodging the drive shaft and stuff like that.
Yeah. Apparently Brent likes to bring a spare leash, and if he finds some roadkill, he hooks it up to the leash and ties it to people's bumpers.
Ugh.
That's a fun one. Okay. Recheck the torque on the fasteners for that new part you just installed. Ben, did you just put a new part on? Did you check the torque on that after you drove it for 20 miles?
Oh, I've got some bead locks, and I definitely got to recheck the torque on those fairly often. And then along with, I don't know, there's that nut that I had to replace, and that bolt that Coy had to replace, or I guess that was a bolt for me too. That nut and bolt that Coy had to replace on our Nevada trip.
Yep.
A little retorquing, and rechecking those regularly would have probably prevented that from disappearing on a gravel road.
The real question is, have you retorqued your beadlock bolts?
I have not gotten enough miles yet.
How many miles have you driven?
I've driven 25 miles. I need
Need
another
to pump
20.
those
That's not
numbers
very
up,
many.
buddy.
Yeah, pump those numbers up.
Gas
Get that
prices
thing
are
out there.
expensive, man.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, I've been taking it easy because I still haven't done the redone my alignment.
I'd start cutting gas with water just to stretch it a little.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Use Loctite and all. We just talked about retorquing. Use Loctite in all the right places. There's so many places where Loctite on some of those bolts, like for instance on my spindles, that's a Loctite place. Use that Loctite because otherwise your bolts might disappear while you're driving down a Forest Service road in 3 feet deep of snow, and then you're really foobarred for the night, and you need to do some trail fixes to get home.
Yeah, and there's places though that you don't want to use Loctite. Don't use it on your lug nuts. Don't use it on your bead locks. It's no.
Speaking of bead locks, make sure you use anti-seize in the right places. Ben, did you use anti-seize on your bead lock bolts?
A little bit.
Uh-oh.
A dab.
Uh-oh.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
You're supposed to.
You're supposed to.
Turn into the tin. You're supposed to turn in the Tin Man when you use that stuff. Just
Yeah.
get it all over.
No, I've got a jar of copper Loctite. For instance, spark plugs. When you change spark plugs, that's I use it, and I put just a little.
They
drop
call it
on.
copper Loctite
It's copper
or anti-seize.
It's copper anti-seize. Yeah, there we go. Mess with your
Okay.
dyslexia.
I was like, wow.
But Ben, why do you use Loctite? What
Loctite?
which or sorry, when do you use anti-seize? What is the key component to when you should use anti-seize?
So generally, it's when you're mixing steel and aluminum.
You got it, bud.
Because those two like to fuse together when they're
they do.
mixed together, and then that's no bueno.
You don't want to weld in your Loctite bolts.
Yep.
Unless you want to.
Unless you're never going to change your tires, which now that Ben has new tires, maybe he never wants to change his tires again.
And, they're
Hey,
gonna last forever now.
Here's a handy tip. Think about using a paint pen on your fasteners.
Oh,
Ooh.
wow. That is a handy tip. Would that
Jeremy,
maybe
you should
help-
think about that.
Yeah, would that maybe help when you're taking a walk around your rig? If you could just see a paint pen line very clearly?
Yes, but you don't just write it on the bolt head. You have to extend it to the metal or part
Oh,
next to
really?
it so that
Oh,
if you see that it has rotated.
I just
Yeah,
always
and-
used to paint the bolt heads.
And that's
You just
That's-
colored the whole head with the paint pen.
So I like to do a line, especially when I'm I draw a line with my paint pen, so that for alignment tabs. So before I had my taco tabs, it was great on my alignment tabs because if I knocked my alignment out a little bit instead of going and getting a fresh alignment, I could just fix it myself at home, and it should be pretty back to spec as long as my toe didn't get jacked up.
Don't listen to Ben. Get your car aligned every so often.
Oh no! I'm saying if I just went and got an alignment, I shouldn't need to go get one again. If it's just,
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
but
if
you
it's
get a place with
if it's a wheeler, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Like if you're not daily in it very much, absolutely.
Although if you're just trailering it, then who cares? Get it close.
Yep. Well, for our next one here is if you don't have extended breather lines on your drivetrain components, you're going to need to flush those fluids a little more often if you're doing water crossings. That'd be anything that's touching the water. So especially your differentials. If you're going deep enough that your transfer case, transmission, and oil pan are there, you could potentially be sucking in some water into those spots. But most likely it's going to be mostly your differentials. Those are the ones that are always dipping down into the water. So if you like to play in the mud, you're going to have a milkshake when you drain those diffs.
And just kind of going off of that, changing those fluids, you also probably want to take a look at your hubs a little often if you have greasable hubs and you're doing lots of water crossings. The other thing you want to do is make sure you're greasing those zerks. So you should be greasing every single Zerk on your rig at pretty much every single oil change. Main reason is as the component is getting used, it uses up a lot of that grease. That grease over time is going to dry out and just not be as effective. And then also leave some space for water intrusion. So if you are using those grease Zerks, you can go ahead and force in some nice new grease and force out a little bit of the bad grease and just keep that grease cycling through.
Yep. I my Forerunner, I've got on my control arms alone, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 grease Zerks for my
Whoa.
upper control
Wow.
arms. So I've got one on each
On your upper control arms?
on my upper control arms. I've got one
Wow.
on each bolt spot on the back,
Mhm.
and then I've got one on the upper ball joint.
Okay.
So I mean,
I think I might have more grease Zerks than you do now, though.
you probably do.
How about your drive shaft? Do you have any on the?
Yep, I've got one on my, or I've got 1 or 2 on my drive shaft.
Okay.
And
One
speaking
or
of drive
2
shafts,
greased it. I should do that soon.
speaking of drive shafts, a lot of drive shafts in the CV joint actually have a hidden Zerk that you actually need a needle fitting to go ahead and grease. So make sure you're not forgoing the maintenance on that. Especially a bunch of aftermarket drive shafts have that Zerk fitting that's kind of hidden. You actually have to kind of look within the double cardan joint to actually see it. And going back to one of our earlier points, once you find it for the first time, and this is bonus points if you do it before you actually install it on the vehicle, go ahead and mark that thing with a paint pen, because you're not going to want to try to look for it every single time when you're underneath the vehicle. If you have that paint pen marking right there, you just know exactly where to go.
Man, paint pens are good for everything.
Oh yeah, they are. Especially drawing penises under your friend's vehicle for the service tech to find.
Yeah. All right. Well, how are you going to get rid of those penises that they wrote on there? You got to wash your rig. A lot of people don't wash their off-road rigs. I'm one of those guys, but when you wash it, you might find, because you're getting more intimate with your rig and things when you're I'm not trying to sound funny, but you're like up close and personal with your rig. And so you're going to probably find something, or you're bending over and you might see something in a wheel well that you might not have noticed before. So washing your rig, it's going to get you closer, and it's a maintenance thing because you're going to probably be cleaning out those pine needles or whatever, or branches that are stuffed and jammed into places in your cowl and things like that.
Or
So-
mud caked into your wheel well, or possibly even your wheel or your
in your
bead.
wheels.
Yep.
Yeah, if it's in your wheel, it can make your tire and wheel out of balance.
Yep. And don't forget to wash under it, your rig, because if you're crawling under there and you've got to do maintenance or work or add new components, really sucks when you get dirt in your eye, or whoever's working on your rig gets dirt in their eye. It sucks. It hurts.
And going back to our paint pen, if it's covered in mud, you can't see it.
Yeah. Brent makes a good point here to spray out your radiator when you wash your rig, especially if you go mud wheeling and things like that. You can really cake that into your radiator. I remember people talking about the dunes over in Moses Lake, and there was like always this one water hole that you could go through that was in the dunes, and somehow once it dried, the sand and mud turned into like almost cement, and people struggled getting it out of their radiators.
That sand out there, it's all silt.
Yeah,
I've
there's
not been there, really.
There's a
Well,
spray that you can get for your radiator too that helps clear all that silty sand stuff that does that.
Yeah, especially if you go down to the mud flats area of Moses Lake sand dunes. So there's sand dunes, and then there's also the mud flats. The mud flats are only open, I think, I don't know the time frame, but it's only in the summertime. It closes before October, and I think it's probably open in July or something or May or somewhere in that time frame. And yeah, the mud flats are definitely very silty sand.
Interesting. I've not wheeled there, so I didn't know that. Good to know.
Wipe down the rubber trim on your door with Armor All to help keep them fresh. There's a few other, depending upon what rubber components you have, that's great for that, just for keeping those seals nice and good, and helping prevent them from degrading. Because rubber does degrade over time with UV exposure and all that. Like your window wipes, mine are, what are they now? They're 14 years old and they've started degrading because of UV. So I've got to replace them. They've like cracked.
Wait,
So.
I was thinking your windshield wipers.
Not windshield wipers, window wipes. That's for along your window trim.
Yeah. I was shocked that you've had windshield wipers for 14 years.
No,
were you though? Were you though,
Jeremy?
No, I was. Let's say not shocked, but I was appalled.
Do you know how long I've had my current windshield wipers?
I don't want to know.
Probably 4 years.
Fun of you for it.
No. Do you remember when we went to the Overland Rally?
I'm just gonna make fun of you for it.
Those ones.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You bought those Overland wipers.
Those fancy Overland wipers, and they still work better than most wipers that I've owned. I've just had to clean them off, and I use a little rubber conditioner on them, and they keep working.
One more thing I wanted to mention about cleaning the rubber trim. If you're going to be going in water, you want your door to have good seal, and if it's caked with mud or junk, you might not have a good seal, and that water might get in your cab. So one more reason to keep that trim clean.
Absolutely. And since Ben already stole the rinse the underside of your rig, but I will throw in there, if you live in anywhere that salts the roads, or especially if you're driving like on the beach or something, you definitely want to get under there and rinse the underside of the rig. But also another thing you want to do when you're under there is check any of your CV boots or any rubber boots. Some, maybe the boots on your tie rod or drag link. Because if you can catch those early enough, you can usually save the part if you can go ahead and replace those.
Chad says he always sprays down his rig after a trip to the sand dunes. So it's always a good thing to do. How about securing those loose wires that are everywhere after all that custom electronic work you did?
Oh, yeah.
I bet nobody here is guilty of that. Yeah.
Actually, I've got all the lights for my light bar looks really nice up top, right? But the window channel, you can't see it in the picture behind me, but I've got 4 wires running down that window channel, and they just keep popping out. KC Highlights has a little window channel thing for those wires that I'm going to pick up. It's like $30. That's probably one of my next purchases for some electronical improvement. And if you go through with all those zip ties and you do that, get some flush snips, or is it flush snips? They're zip tie clippers that cut really close to the zip tie, so it cuts it flush, so that it's not going to cut if it rubs around on anything.
Gotcha. Someone told me that if this was the zip tie part sticking out, if you take needle nose pliers and pinch really, really close to the head of the zip tie, and you just keep twisting it in a circle, it'll snap off from worrying the plastic, and it'll snap off and like suck itself in just a tiny bit. It's very time consuming though to be twisting your zip ties off. I just cut them with side cutters.
There we go. It's flush cutters is what they are. And I've got a set for my zip tie, just for all my zip tie cutting. They're just tiny little dikes.
Okay, next
Diagonal
time
cutters.
Okay, next time we're near Ben or with Ben, we got to look for zip ties that aren't cut.
There we go.
That'll be the game.
There's probably a handful that I've missed.
Oh, we'll install some too.
I'm sure you guys will.
Trust us.
Building off of the comment from earlier about having a leash to tie the roadkill to the back, I think maybe you should just go a step further and zip tie the roadkill to their drive shaft.
I was thinking like the exhaust as close as you can get towards the front, so it'll get really, really hot and stinky.
Terrible friends. Do a whole
Yeah.
episode of jokes. Check your water level in your battery if it's serviceable. So if you've got a lead acid battery, you can put this. If the water level gets in that, it'll kill it. So you throw some distilled water in there, and they'll help keep that battery going and chugging
Yeah.
along. Because
Brent
nothing's
says
worse than a
Brent
dead battery.
Brent says to strap that roadkill to the catalytic converter. He didn't spell it this way, but I would have loved if it was like a catalytic converter, like if you a little play on words there with a cat.
And if your vehicle sits a lot, you should probably put a float charger on that thing.
You can pick those up cheap for like $6 or $8 at Harbor Freight. I have several of them that I've used on my rigs in the past, and just keeps the batteries topped off. They aren't fancy. They don't need to be fancy. They
Nope.
just need to understand that once you've reached your voltage, they shut themselves down and then they turn themselves back on when they need to be used again.
That's
Yeah,
important.
you can get some that usually come with a permanent mount if you know your rig's gonna be sitting a lot, and it just uses like one of those mini Anderson plugs.
Yeah.
And then just all you gotta do is pull it out from underneath the hood, plug it in, and go back home inside.
How about this? I'm super guilty of never doing this my entire life, but how about performing a 5-tire rotation to use the tread up on that spare tire that you own? And it's a matching spare, right?
You mean like the one that I haven't picked up yet?
Well, it's not time for you to start rotating
No, not yet.
in yet. But so yeah, that's kind of got two key points there, although one isn't vehicle maintenance related, but you really should have a matching spare tire. And since you now have one because you need one, if you start rotating it in there, you're going to get 25% more life out of your tires by using that one inside the rotation rather than just letting it rot away under your vehicle or on the back.
Yeah, you think about that. If you are a cheap bastard like me and don't want to buy new tires all the time, or new
Or
tires
ever.
at all, getting the most out of the life of your tires is definitely what you want to be doing.
I mean, you don't even have to be cheap to want that.
Yeah, no, you can just be getting the most out of them, especially if they're good tires and you really like them. I know, like Jeremy and I are with our Milestars, we've got to be rotating them every tire. Every oil change is when we should be.
Really? Every 3,000 to 5,000, huh?
Every 5,000 for me.
Man.
Every tire change.
Every tire change, you rotate the oil?
You got it, sir. We've already kind of hit on it a little bit, but there's some things that you want to do when you're rotating your tires or changing your oil. But one of the things you want to do is check your brakes. Make sure you have enough brake life left, and if they're getting low, it's time to start purchasing parts and schedule some time for yourself to go ahead and replace those brake pads.
Yeah, I mean that's a great time to, there for instance, if you're IFS up front, I mean there's a lot of components you can be inspecting really easily and greasing when you're doing your tire rotation. Oh,
Yes,
look,
sir.
there's my CV axle, there's my boots. Okay, they're good. There's my inner tie rod, or my inner and outer tie rod boots. Are they still good? It's your upper ball joint, your lower ball joint. Worst case scenario, you're on the trail and one of those goes, and then you've got to figure out a trail fix to get you home. Oh yeah, here's another one. Chad says here, check your wheel bearings while you're doing the tire change.
How do you do that?
That's a little lift your tire, you shake it side to side, and then for your ball joints, you do up. Is it forward to backward, up to top?
Let's just say do it both ways, and if you have play, you got to figure out what's wrong.
Yeah, what's slopping around in there? Exactly. And for you Toyota guys that have drum brakes in the rear, don't forget to check your wheel cylinders. those can leak and cause issues.
That's only the Tundras and Tacomas.
Yes, Toyota owners.
Yeah.
Are you saying
Yeah.
that people that own 4Runners aren't real Toyota owners?
No, I was trying to throw all the Toyota owners under the bus, and Ben rescued some of them.
Yep. Only us cool guys, not those taco owners.
We've got a Facebook user that says, Aaron, any special preventative maintenance recommendations for an LMTV? This is a critical discussion topic.
Is this
There's
your
lots
wife?
of stuff to maintain. No, I doubt that's my wife. I doubt that's my wife.
I just figured she was digging in that she didn't like the LMTV again.
It's really possible.
I would say probably running your LMTV regularly, getting it up to temperature so that your seals stay well, so you don't start losing oil on those very expensive Cat engines to repair.
Well, there's lots of stuff to grease on those things as well. There's grease zerks everywhere on those trucks. Let's see here. You're supposed to change the oil I don't know what the oil change interval was on the LMTV, but because mine didn't put very many miles on it, I just kept on trucking without really changing the oil. I just made sure that it wasn't losing any oil.
So when you say change the oil on the LMTV, you change it to the gas tank, right?
Well, yes, in the LMTV you can take it out and dump it into the fuel tank. That's for sure. One thing with vehicles that have air brakes, I don't think very many of our listeners are going to be listening to air brake or owning vehicles with air brakes, but you have to drain those tanks, otherwise the moisture will build up in them and it'll rot your tanks out from the inside. They can rust out. So that's definitely a thing to make sure you do.
Yeah, and if you're curious how bad that can be, watch air compressor failure videos. And I've seen a few of them where there's guys in their garages that never drain their air compressors, and then you see them go boom. Yeah, just like
I've not seen that. That would be fun.
Yeah, just like your shop air, those big air compressors, you drain them out. I try to keep mine empty, and I just, when I go to use it, I turn it on a little bit before I need to use it. That way I don't have to hear it running at first, because that sucker's loud.
Yeah. Well, have you guys got anything else to add here?
Do your retorques.
Yeah.
I know it's been covered, but I couldn't tell you the amount of times I've seen vehicles come in because they failed to do your retorques. If you go out and you go wheeling, you're vibrating. If you go out on a Forest Service road, your rig is vibrating. The bouncing on the road, all those vibrations on a Forest Service road, gravel road. So yeah, do your retorques, because bolt comes out. It's no fun.
You sound like you're talking from experience.
I think he's had customers come into his shop that haven't done their due diligence also.
Drive a sand-colored 4Runner.
Yeah, baby crap yellow 4Runner. I know that guy. He hasn't done his retorques in a while. I yell at him all the time. Call him dumb.
We should next time we see Ben, we should go and loosen some of his beadlock bolts and see if he finds them.
Which ones? That would be bad because he won't find them, and then
that would be bad.
He'll
yeah,
break those bolts off and have to buy new wheels.
Yeah, that would be pretty mean.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll just zip tie some roadkill to his catalytic converter.
Make sure you pick up some metal zip ties. We don't want to melt the zip ties and have it fall off.
Good point. We'll bring some metal ones or some baling wire or something.
Oh yeah, I got plenty of that.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank everyone once again who listens to us weekly and sticks around for all of our antics. We love all these comments here in the comment section with the jokes and holding us accountable. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you're sharing us with your friends and telling your neighbors and your coworkers about us. Help our show grow. And God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren and Power Tank to see all of their great gear. We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a question or comment? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.tv or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com, Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe and courteous, and thanks for listening.